as I'll send out an email in a few minutes, just giving you the basic schedule from that we're going through now. I'm sorry it hasn't been sent out yet. But one point that I want to make, both for the newcomers and oldies, is that it's very important for us to feel as much as we can through this, even though it's on Zoom, that we feel together and that we're able to see each other. And someone even sent to me a message, being a private closed meeting, they want to know and feel comfortable with everyone there. So I would like to ask that you keep the screens open. You will through the Shiur
The
and
cameras,
with
I think you mean.
yeah
The
the
screens
sorry
are open.
the screens, both the screens, but the cameras. Thank you, Rav Yair, to keep the cameras on so that we can see all of your lovely faces and give us a sense of being together. What we will
Moshe
last
David, you now need to give a minute to those who stayed in their pajamas to switch before they open the cameras. It's Sunday in the Nordic countries. It starts late.
Yes. So come with your coffee, but please come dressed and so that you can turn your cameras on because it's really important. And I'll just mention again, like we mentioned last week, as we do have some people here who are new, that if anything comes up during the shiur, we're very interested in hearing whether things are clear or unclear, if any further questions that you have, so you can use either the chat for that, and then we'll have a look throughout the shiur. If we haven't noticed the chat, you can raise your hand or unmute yourself. And one last thing is that when we ask you to join us or to read from the sources, please don't be shy about that because it's really helpful to us and it gives a sense of togetherness. So last week, for those, if anyone missed it, the shiurim are uploaded to the recording, and you have the link for that in the WhatsApp group. And I will also send out an email with a link for the YouTube channel. Last week, we went through something very important which is the Hebrew calendar and how that works so that especially as we're starting with Rosh Hashanah and the Chagim now, to be able to note, and we talked a bit about the moon and how that fits in and how that's very different than what we're used to because it's connected to nature and to a very specific cycle that the days follow. So if you missed that, please make sure you have a look at the recording from the shiur, which has already been uploaded. In the next shiurim, from now until Sukkot, we will have shiurim that are very not hopefully mostly practical to help you feel comfortable and at ease when you go to the synagogue, because even someone who's used to the Siddur over the Shabbat or has gotten used to it, suddenly the prayers are very different and there's many, many additions, both during Rosh Hashanah, during the days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we have a special Shabbat and then Yom Kippur as well. And then, so we're going to try to pack it in these shiurim between now and Sukkot, that so that you have the practical, at least as much as we can, to help you. So we will have 4 shiurim in a row that will talk about Elul, Rosh Hashanah today with Rav Yair, and then we'll go on from there to discussing the shofar and the days of Tshuva, and then Yom Kippur, and then finally Sukkot, Shmini Atzeret, and Simchat Torah. So we don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to pass the microphone over to Rav Yair. Thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you so much. And yes, good morning, Shavua Tov, everyone. It's wonderful to see you in this morning. And it's a time of start and renewal as you studied the last week. So we will begin immediately with the sources, if I may. I prepared uh, a few sources that comes and tells about where it comes from, the whole all the things that we do in this month and in especially up to Rosh Hashanah, where I'm going to speak about the traditions in the Elul and in the traditions of Rosh Hashanah, but the prayers and the halachot, the rules that are connected to Rosh Hashanah, that will come next week. We'll talk about now Chodesh Elul. The month of Elul, the word in itself has different interpretations and meaning, and the most common one is the one we call Ani ledodi v'dodi li. I don't know how many of you recognize the quote, but the quote comes from Shir HaShirim, what do you call it, the Hoysang, the Song of Songs. I don't know what's the name of that in English. That have a different name. It's the one of the five Megillot we have that we also read that one in Pesach. Now, and in that, Anile Dodi is the regular word dod means uncle, but the word dod in biblical sense comes from things that are connected to love so Dodi is like in a way, my lover. Or the one who loves me, the one I'm in love with, but and the whole book of the Shir HaShirim, Songs and Songs, goes on the connection and the love that doesn't become to is not being realized. It's a love that all the time this dod comes very near, and every time it's misses in the last second. The one time she goes to takes her time, one time he takes his time, and so on. So all this connection. But the word "Danile dodi v'dodili," then I'm to him and him to me, are used in the sense of connection to us and God in this very special month. That now is the time that we're very near. And the question, will it be realized? Will it come to fulfillment or not? That is, we should make sure we don't miss the opportunity. Kra'u b'oyoto karov, where I read that you should call him when he's near, when he's close. And the time of Rosh Hashanah is the time that we can uh, we can reach him, reach God in that way. But open and not only saying from my perspective, but we'll take the sources about that, and I'll share now the. Yes, so the month of Elul, one of the the earliest sources about it comes from Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, which is a very early source of Agadot, of tales um, uh, I can't see. Uh, yes, here. Um, so, so this source tells us about Rabbi Yoshua ben Korcha. His uh, his interpretation is opening to what is special about this month, and he comes with uh, a very unique explanation that goes very long back. So here, Rabbi Yoshua ben Korcha said, Moses spent 40 days on the mountain, reading scriptures by day and reviewing the Mishnah by night. After 40 days, he took the tablets and descended to the camp. On the 17th of Tammuz, he broke the tablets, killed the sinners of Israel, and spent 40 days in the camp until he burnt the golden calf. ground it to dust, killed all who kissed it, removed the idolatry from Israel, and set each tribe back in its place. On the first of Elul, so here comes the relevant part that comes to now. On the first of Elul, the Holy One, blessed be He, said to Moses, "Go up to me on the mountain, Alei Ahara." And the shofar was sounded throughout the camp, since Moses was going up the mountain, so that they would not again be misled after idolatry. And God was exalted that day with a shofar, as it is said, God ascends with a shout, Allah Elohim b'truah, Hashem b'kol shofar, the Lord with the sound of shofar. This is what we will say just in Rosh Hashanah, just before we blow the shofar. This is the sentence that is being read. Therefore, the sages institute that the shofar be blown every year on the first of Elul. Okay, so here we have an early source that explains about a tradition. Now, most of you know that we read, that we blow the shofar on Rosh Hashanah. I hope most of you know that already, but I don't know how many of you notice that on regular days in Chodesh Elul, we actually also blow the shofar. With those who came to Minyan since the was Chodesh Elul, since it's last week, no, 2 weeks ago already. Since then, every day that there was a minyan, at the end of the prayer, there was a blessing the shofar. I also do that in the kindergarten. When I come to kindergarten, I bless the shofar, I blow the shofar for the kids, doing it through the whole Chodesh of Elul. And this is a source. Now, you can see that this doesn't talk so much about Rosh Hashanah, but gives an historical connection about the story of Moshe receiving the Luchot HaBrit, the tablets, and that is a story that probably most of you remember, right? That he broke the tablets. There were two tablets. He broke the tablets, and when he came down and saw the Israelites with the golden calf, um, but here they add a connection because the Torah doesn't say anything about twice 40 days. There's a tradition, very known tradition about um, that on Yudzayin B'Tammuz, on the 17th day of Tammuz, the luchot, the tablets were broken. Now, why is it on that date? Now, I need to see your math skills. How do we reach the conclusion that the tablets were broken on the 17th day of Tammuz? Anyone? Okay, the 17th day of Tammuz is 40 days or 41 days after which date?
Tisha B'Av?
No, Tisha B'Av comes after, 3 weeks after. But what comes 40 days or 41 days before the 17th of Tammuz?
Shavuot.
Yes, Shavuot. And Shavuot. And what happened on Shavuot?
Matan Torah?
Matan Torah, exactly. So if the Mount Sinai, if all what happened there happened on Shavuot, and then Moshe stayed for 40 days, then we reach that when he went down, that is Yudain B'Tammuz, the 17th of Tammuz, which is a fast day that we also say. Okay, so that explains this 40 days and why there's a tradition there. About after 40 days, he stayed up. Then the Midrash here adds something we don't know about 40 days that he stayed before he went back again. That the Torah doesn't say exactly how long it was, but the Midrash here adds, and that is the special part, that he goes up on Rosh Chodesh Elul. Why is that so interesting that he goes up on Rosh Chodesh Elul? It's connected to what happened 40 days after Rosh Chodesh Elul. Which special day comes 40 days after Rosh Chodesh Elul? I really try your knowledge of the Jewish calendar now, I can see. But it's not very hard because you actually know the answer.
Isn't it the holiday when the Torah was given again? I might be wrong.
Yes, but which holiday do we have there?
Rosh
I
Hashanah.
don't remember the name, but
No, Rosh Hashanah is 30 days after Rosh Chodesh Elul, because a month is 30 days. Rosh Chodesh Elul, Rosh Hashanah is 30 days
Yom
after.
Kippur.
What is 40 days after?
Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur, exactly, on the 10th of Tishrei. So Yom Kippur, the tradition that on Yom Kippur, we got the second tablet, and that is also a special saying because that suddenly sets the whole tradition that we have around tshuva and about forgiveness and about renewal, all the things that are connected to the high holiday, to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and also Shana Rabbah, Shmini Atzeret, and Sukkot. All the things that are connected there suddenly are also connected to a story of here came the tablets that stayed. Here was the putting in the right place and fixing the wrongdoing. These are the second tablets, and you can see here the tradition that when Moses descended, there was a shofar blessing. So it's connected to a physical thing we do to remember this, and that is the blowing the shofar every day. So we will remember the possibility of fixing, the possibility of tshuva, just like they could get, the Israelites could get a second tablet. There is a second chance. This is like there's a deep message here of this physical calculation of the dates because it's up to Yom Kippur is a day of second chance. Don't think that you don't have a second chance. You have. Even the most terrible thing, like who would imagine, like the first tablets, breaking the tablets immediately, right after the Israelites were on Sinai, got the Torah, everything was perfect, and then they went to the worst place possible with the idol worshipping of that. And if even that can be corrected. So if that can be corrected, then we all have a chance of second chances, and this lies here in the tradition of blowing the shofar. That now remember, let's remember this time do it properly, just like they did when Moses went up. Oh, we have to remember we shouldn't fail this time when Moshe goes up for the next 40 days. So this is what the Midrash starts, but it opens to a very deep understanding and about what is the whole idea of tshuva and second chances and our possibility to fix our wrongdoings, our sins. Good. So now I'll come to the tradition, the laws that Shulchan Aruch brings. Is there anyone who wants to read? Help me to save some of my voice. Anyone? Yes.
From where should I read?
Just from the beginning of the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch, just a second, maybe before you start reading, now that you'll, can you say a word what Shulchan Aruch is to those who don't remember?
The Shulchan Aruch is a or book or writings about halacha.
Yes, come from where? You remember the more or less the time and.
Isn't it like medieval times? It's from a Sephardi perspective.
So I would say it's exactly the end of medieval times. It's from the 1500. That's the time of the writing of Shulchan Aruch. So and just like medieval times or the end of medieval time, the Renaissance is a great change in the world's history. It's the same in the Jewish history. Everything that comes before Shulchan Aruch is considered Rishonim, the first, the early rabbis, those from the time of Talmud until Shulchan Aruch. And when Rabbi Yosef Karo writes Shulchan Aruch, and he does it in Tzfat, in Israel, when he writes it, everyone that comes afterward are considered achronim, the last rabbis. So we have the first rabbis and last rabbis, and there's very big difference between their authority level. How can you discuss them and so on? I won't go into that. But Shulchan Aruch was a change of the way Jews studied halakha and Jewish law, and became the book everyone go to. And of course, we have both the Shulchan Aruch, Rabbi Yosef Karo, but the reason that all of us read it, and especially us here in Scandinavia and the Nordic countries, is because Rav Moshe Isserlich also wrote the Mappa that he added to the Shulchan Aruch, where he wrote all the Ashkenazi tradition. And that's why this became a book for all the Jews, because it added both different traditions from what is called Sephardic traditions, or I would say the Muslim countries of Northern Africa and the Middle East, and also all the Ashkenazi tradition that Rav Moshe Isserlich came with. So Shulchan Aruch is extremely important to remember. 4 parts, and this is the part of it that is called Orach Chaim. And yes, now you can read.
Okay, so let's begin. It is customary to rise at dawn to recite selichot and supplications from the 1st of Elul until Yom Kippur.
Okay. So this is the basic rule that Shulchan Aruch write. You can see that the Rema here is much longer, and Shulchan Aruch just says a simple thing. Now, have you heard the term slichot before?
Yes.
I think I've heard it, yes.
Slichot comes from the word slicha, forgiveness, but it's a time of asking for forgiveness. So we ask for slichot, and we'll go to the details. And the Sephardi tradition is to do it the whole of the month of Elul. And you will see immediately that the Ashkenazi tradition is different. But he comes when he speaks about Chodesh Elul. This is the only thing Shulchan Aruch has to write. That during the whole month of Elul, you say slichot from Rosh Chodesh Elul until Yom Kippur on those 40 days. Yes, Haga. Yes, Rema adds.
Okay, yes. The Ashkenazic custom is different. From Rosh Chodesh Elul onward, they begin to blow the shofar after the morning prayers. In some places, they also blow at evening prayers. They begin saying slichot at dawn on the Sunday before Rosh Hashana. If Rosh Hashana falls on a Monday or a Tuesday, they begin slichot on the Sunday of the previous week. A mourner is forbidden to leave his home in order to attend selichot in the synagogue, except on the eve of Rosh Hashanah, when many selichot are recited, then they may attend.
Yes. So just before the rest, so here comes all the Ashkenazi tradition, and we can hear a few details. First of all, we can see that Ashkenazi tradition, he starts with blowing the shofar, during the whole of month of Elul, not only on Rosh Chodesh itself, but the whole month. And that in some places, I don't know anyone today who does that, but maybe there is that I don't know of. But at that time, at least, there were a few places that also had blown the shofar in the evening and not only in the morning. He begins with that. But he says that Ashkenazi here, they begin saying slichot only at the dawn of the Sunday before Rosh Hashanah. Okay, so it's much shorter. It's not the whole month. And this slichot is adding prayers every morning. I would say take approximately half an hour, somewhere, anywhere between 20 minutes and an hour, depends on how much they sing and how much they recite. So Sephardi here say slichot for a month, and Ashkenazi say for a week. Okay, depends on which day Rosh Hashanah comes, right? And for example, this year that Rosh Hashanah is on Tuesday or Monday evening, like it says here. If Rosh Hashanah falls on a Monday or Tuesday, like it does this year on Tuesday, they begin Slichot on the Sunday of the previous week. Okay, so they want the reason for this is that the Ashkenazi needs at least 4 days before Rosh Hashanah. And it's connected to the days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, that you have 6 regular days. And 6 regular days, so they want to come to at least 10 days where you say Slichot. And that's why they demand the week before, but if Rosh Hashanah falls on Monday or Tuesday, then you already start the week before. So we have like a week and a half of saying Slichot, just like we have this year. And that is, so first of all, just saying that. Of course, the very famous joke is about why do Sfaradi say much more. They say it's connected to the Kitniot and Pesach. That maybe they're allowed to eat Kitniot in Pesach, but then they have to pray for forgiveness for a whole month. But that's a joke. It had nothing to do with I'm happy that some of you started to laugh. Yeah, Jewish jokes. It's not. Yeah. So. Okay, then there's a specific rule about the one who should be the shaliach tzibur, should be the chazan, should lead services. That should be a proper person. It's someone who has to be 30 years old. He had to be married, and someone that everyone enjoys, and also not to. You need to be careful in the way he does it, but that are the details that. Don't want to go into. Okay, I want to yes, Paulina.
First question is because I'm curious. Is it allowed to get married in the Selihot period?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
The only time that you're not allowed to get married is the times of Shloshta Shavuot, like time of mourning. Slichot is not mourning. It's actually very important to underline this. So thank you for the question, because the time of not getting married are connected to mourning, to being sad. Slichot is not sad, even though it can break the heart. The way you pray slichot and ask for forgiveness, forgiveness is a happy thing. It's not a sad thing. The option of that, and that's why also Yom Kippur, it's called in the Masechet Ta'anit, in the tractate of Ta'anit, of fasting. There's a description of all the terrible things that happened to the Israelites, including the breaking the tablet that we talked about. But then, right after, it says there weren't good days to Israel, to the Israelites. There weren't better days than Tu B'Av and Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur was the best day. And why Yom Kippur was the best day? Because it's the time of Slicha and Mechila, of forgiveness from God, and that is a positive thing. It's not so even if you when you do what you call cheshbon nefesh, look into yourself and how you did and so on. A ton. We will read it in the next source. Even then, it's a happy thing. It's a good thing. It's not. We don't mourn. We don't go down. We're supposed to go up. If looking back into all the things we did takes us down, then there's something wrong in what we do. It's supposed to take us up and help us become better and in happiness too, and not through sadness and only all the time go deep in the wrong thing we did. Yes, Tikva.
Are the women obligated for Shelichot? I don't remember. It was only men who are obligated.
It's Slichot is connected to the time, right? It's a mitzvah that is dependent on time. So you could say that you're not obligated, but you can. The nothings that say that you don't have to. But Slichot is a tradition. It's not a mitzvah. It's a minhag. And it's more important to say also the difference between a custom and a mitzvah. a custom is also something we are obligated to, but as soon as it's a custom, then you change the question of are you obligated or not? It's a custom to do it among Israelites, and then you should. It's a good thing. We all need the slichot. It's not so in that sense but if waking up early to slichot will ruin your whole day, then there are actually halachic discussions about that. What to do if it's and then you say then you don't have to. Like it's a they are so it's not in the same level. What we're talking about the slichot is not the same level as the regular prayer of the day. Like if someone has difficulties, I can reach this and not that. There's no doubt that the regular tefillah, the mitzvah, and putting tefillah and all of these things, they come first. But it's not either or, right? So there's no difficulties, just understanding what's the more important. Yes, was anyone else lift their hand?
Yeah, well, my question is so it's just it can just be done in the synagogue and with minyan, so we cannot read at home.
We come to that. Yes, I'll come when I see the content. So we'll come to that very soon. So let's continue, and we'll maybe some of the answers will be answered through the sources. Yes, who wants to continue reading? Now we read from a book. You can see some of the sources that I bring are very late sources because there's not so much information about this in earlier sources about the content of what you do. So Mateh Ephraim is a book that is written by an amazing rabbi with a main story, Rabbi Ephraim Zalman Margaliot from Brody. He was a rabbi. He was actually in the younger years, he was a jeweler, and he made a lot of money of jewelry business, and then quit when he had enough money. Quit and dedicated his life to Torah and studies and writing and such. And he never accepted any rabbinical position because he didn't want to live economically on the Torah. He wanted to dedicate to the content, to the Torah, and he wrote quite a few important Jewish books. So this was an option to let you know of him. This is and he described very nicely the traditions around Rosh Chodesh around Chodesh Elul. So who's reading? Yes, Lina.
Okay, just from the top?
From one, yes.
Okay. From Rosh Chodesh, Elul until Yom Kippur are days of mercy, forgiveness, and favor. Each person should awaken his heart to remembrance and atone for sins and soul of the soul committed since birth, in order to merit the king sits on the throne of judgment on the day of creation.
Okay, so he starts on describing how we need to think in these days and prepare ourselves. So he ended a bit that changes a bit the first source that we saw about the connection to Moses, and he connected it to how we prepare ourselves to the day of judgment, the day of Yom Adin and Rosh Hashana, and how we need to reflect and think of the things we did since our birth, right? Like and do all of that in this period. Yes, and here we add another tradition that we actually say in Chodesh Elul, and some of you maybe already noticed that in the synagogue, that we add a special psalm both in the evening and in the morning at the synagogue. So those who listened carefully yesterday and Friday evening, and also the same last week, you would have seen that. Nina, you can continue.
Okay. In these lands, it is customary from Rosh Chodesh Elul until Yom Kippur to recite every day after prayers Psalm 27, "The Lord is my light and my salvation," morning and evening.
David Hashem Ori V'ishi. That's the word in Hebrew.
morning and evening, followed by Kaddish Yatam. Mornings.
Yatom.
Oh, Yatom.
Yatom, it's a mourner.
Yeah.
Someone who Yatom is someone who lost his one of his parents.
Yeah.
So an orphan. So Kaddish Yatom, an orphan Kaddish.
Okay. We continued this practice until Shemini Atzeret inclusive. We also recited on every day with Musa and Sharit before Ein Kamorcha.
That's specific details. We don't need to go into that.
Okay.
We say it every synagogue in the place they say it. There are different tradition about where the right place to say it. In Denmark, we say it at the end of the service, right after Shiur Shel Yom, the song of the day.
Okay.
Okay, but okay, read the end because there's an important rule coming in the end.
Okay. In the evening, we recited after Mincha, where it is recited after the prayer on Rosh Chodesh. It is proper to first say Psalm 104, Bari Nashi, before Psalm 27, where it's said after Sharit, if the custom is also to recite Shiur Shel Yom, Psalm of the day. The daily psalm should come first, or for it's more frequent.
Yeah. Now, why did I want to add this? You can see that many times we have at the end of the service there's different psalms that we say. So in Rosh Chodesh we add a psalm like it's written, and every day we say a psalm, a Shiur Shel Yom. And when we put the David, we already say it afterwards, and that's because a principal rule that exists also in general, and that's why I mention it here. It's called Tadir v'she'eno Tadir, Tadir Kodem. This is a rule you should remember. Okay, it's a principle that you also have in many different situations. Tadir v'she'eno tadir. Tadir is something that is frequent. So if you have something frequent and something that is not frequent, so it's something they do all the time and something that comes specially, you do first the thing that is frequent, the regular, and only then add the special. Many times you would think it would be opposite. You should start with a special thing of the day, like that we don't know. In the Jewish tradition, you start, and there are different rules that are connected to this rule, and that's why I mention it here. You will meet it also in the other places. That you have, for example, order of brachot, which bracha will come first, is also connected to that, and which kiddush, if a high holiday falls on Shabbat, so you say first the kiddush of Shabbat and then the kiddush of the high holiday, because the same rule. First, you start with the thing that is the regular, the frequent, what we do all the time, and only then you add a special thing. So that's a rule that it's good to know of that rule. But we add also this song LeDavid Hashem Mori V'ishi. There are many explanations on why we say it. Preparing to the shiur, I found like 5 different explanations. And when you have so many explanations, and all are very late explanations, that's a sign for something we actually don't know how it started. Because when you have many explanations, it means that it was already something that was done, and the rabbis tried to find a reasoning. So different rabbis from different places came from with a different perspective. Some say that it's because of the 13 times God is mentioned there, and that's connected to the 13 midot rachamim that we will see. Shlosh midot, the God 13. How do you say egenskaper? How do you say that in English?
Features, egenskaper.
Yeah, so exactly. How to say it in English?
Features or traits.
Features, yeah, the way of God being, his 13 midot. We sang it in Pesach, if you remember. When you come to there's a song of the 13 Echad mi yodea, Echad ani yodea. So you go up from 1, and the last one is 13. What is 13? The 13 midot that we will read about in a second. So it's actually very important. So they say one tradition is that. Another is that you have an acronym of Elul, of the words inside this psalm. There are different interpretations. I will let you find the one you like the most. It's actually a beautiful, very, very beautiful psalm. So I urge all of you to read that translation and add it to your prayers on this month and all the way until Shmini Atzeret. Our tradition is to stop on Hoshana Rabbah, and this is the most customary today to stop on Hoshana Rabbah, but there are different traditions. Okay, and you can see here that from Rosh Chodesh onwards, it is customary to blow the Teruah Shvarim Tki'ah. It's a Teruah, it's a mistake here. Tki'ah Shvarim Teruah Tki'ah. The translation here went wrong. So the regular ways to do the Tki'at Shofar, like that's the basic. This is a way that is customary to have this sequence with all the different ways to do the Tki'at Shofar after the praying and before reciting the Psalms. And this is also the tradition in Copenhagen, which is different than in Israel. We blow and then we say Le David Hashem Roi Vishi in the month of Elul. And they add the shofar is blown every weekday of Elul except on the eve of Rosh Hashanah, when it is not blown at all, not even at home for practice. In the evening of Rosh Hashanah, we don't want the sounds of shofar to be sounded because we need to hear it for Rosh Hashanah itself. It needs to be different and not like in continuance of the Rosh Hashanah. So to separate it from what we did up to now, on the eve of Rosh Hashanah itself, it's not allowed to blow the shofar at all. So we don't do that. Good. We'll continue quickly to read all the sources. I have here one very late source that I use a lot, the Pninei Halacha, a book that I hope some of you already know. You can find it online most of it you can find in English. You can also buy it. I have it at home because it like gathered simply all the halachot, but in a high level. So you can see here that he describes where the slichot comes from. Who can read?
I can read.
Great.
Since the sages did not establish a fixed obligation to say Selihot, no single uniform text was set. Each community added its own supplications and poems. However,
Okay. So it shows why we have the different traditions, because there is no official text of slichot. Like there's no in the Talmud, the Mishnah Talmud, it doesn't say anything. Just say that they ask for forgiveness, but we don't have an established text from the earlier sources. And now explain. So what do we have today?
However, there is a general framework as described in the order of Rav Amram Gaon.
Yeah, order is the word order comes from Sidur. So the Sidur of Seder Rav Amram Gaon. He wrote one of the first Sidurim that we have. Even I would even say the first. No, there are a couple like Machzor Vitri. Like there's a very few earlier Sidurim that doesn't look like we have today, but are very similar. In these books, historically, you also had much more halachot written in. They didn't have Shulchan Aruch. In the same book, they had different rules and prayers and such. So it's a bit different than what we have today, but this is one of the earliest Sidurim from Rav Amram Gaon. The word Gaon sets us immediately to the period right after Talmud. Because after Tkufat HaAmoraim, we have Savoraim, and then we have Geonim. The Geonim, like the word Gaon, which were the leaders of the Jewish people in all came mainly from Babylon or Egypt, and the Geonim were like the rabbis, kind of a chief rabbi of the Jews, at that time. There were still centralized leadership of the Jewish world at that time, and he was one of the Geonim.
So it was Judaism 101 in one book.
Yes, exactly.
Should I continue?
Yes.
Yeah. Begin with Ashrei, Tehillah David. For every prayer, customary opens with words of praise to God. Then say Hav Kaddish, followed by verses such as, "To you, Lord, belongs righteousness, but to us a shame of face. And, O you who hear prayer, to you all flesh will come."
Yes, these two, לך השם הצדקה ולנו בושת הפנים, ושומע תפילה דרך כל בשר יבואו. These words we will hear a lot also in Yom Kippur prayer. Like these will fill quite a lot, not in Rosh Hashanah, because it's very different Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur that you will learn when you learn about the prayers. Yeah.
Then the 13 attributes of mercy, confession.
Yeah, so two things here. The 13 attributes of mercy. This is what I mentioned before. The 13, so the word is attributes. 13 midot rachamim that God has. When did we learn about the 13? It connects to the first story. When Moshe asked God for forgiveness, in the reading that we read on every fasting, we read this source of Moshe going and ask God for forgiveness for the Israelites after they did the golden calf, and then God tells him. It says, "Vayavor Hashem al panav vayikra." We will say it so many times on Yom Kippur, so I hope after Yom Kippur all of you know it by heart, because it goes like it's in a dialogue, and it goes, "Vayavor Hashem al panav vayikra." Adonai, Adonai, el rachum v'chanun, erech apayim av chesed v'emet, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע, וחטא ונקה. So there are different traditions and melodies about it, but this is a quotation of God telling Moshe that Hashem is a merciful God, and he uses 13 different ways to say that he's merciful. Forgiving and Rav Chesed with lots of mercy and so on and so on. So there are 13 different words or that describe how God is so merciful. And this text is the essence of the Slichot. We say it a few times. Don't say it only once. We say it again and again through the Slichot, because God tells Moshe. I'll read it in a second. Okay, so this is like the heart of the Zichot, and then confession, vidui. And continue now.
We have been guilty more than all nations, and toward the end, answer us, our Father, answer us, and do it, Lord, for the sake of your name. And the conclusion of Selichot, we recite Nefilat Apayim.
Yeah, the part that you also have in regular services when you fall down on your hand and say we have it in the regular everyday Shachrit and Mincha.
Falling on the face and end with Kaddish Tiskabel.
Yeah. Now the Slichot that are written in the Seder of Amon Gaon has nothing to do with Chodesh Elul. He writes it about Slichot to fasted days, but the same principle they apply also here. Okay, so this is. And will you come when all of you will come to services saying the slichot from beginning next Sunday? Then you will be able to see that they have these elements at the basic, and then they add some other writings. Every community with their tradition, the Ashkenazi, Sephardi, and also different places. So this is the basic of the slichot. Now I have to add something about this. 13 attributes of mercy that comes from the Babylon Talmud, Rosh Hashanah. So yes.
It's because I think I'm a little bit confused because I definitely remember it from Pesach. But then I'm trying to
You
find
don't
it.
remember from Pesach saying Slichot. You remember from Pesach
No, 13.
singing the Shlosh Midot. We sing it when we open the Torah to bring the Torah out. Then we say only these 13. But we don't say it as part of the Slichot. We only say the 13. We say it on all the high holidays when you take the Torah out.
Okay, and can you tell me a page on the Danish Siddur?
I don't have Danish Siddur
Okay,
on me
I
here,
thought
so
you
I
know
can't
it
tell you
by
a
head.
page.
That's
But
usually
if you open the page where we take the Torah out
on
on
the
Shabbat,
okay.
which should be approximately 110, 15, maybe somewhere ish. No, 120 maybe. Then more or less there you have like Vahi bin Saaron, and after that you also have the text saying, yeah. But let's continue.
Thank you.
So you found it?
I think so. I'm trying to.
No, never mind. But let's continue. So in the Babylon Talmud, Rabbi Yochanan comes with a very strong statement and says about these 13 attributes of mercy. Rabbi Yochanan said, were it not written, it would be impossible to say it. This thing about the 13 attributes of mercy, if it wasn't written, we couldn't say that as people. This teaches that the Holy One, blessed be He, wrapped himself like a prayer leader and showed Moshe the order of prayer. It's as if God tells Moshe exactly how to pray, and he does it himself. And he tells him, he gives him a way out. He gives him a free ticket that he can use whenever with a sin. He says to him, this is the part that if it wasn't written we couldn't say. He says to him, whenever Israel sins, let them perform this order before me, and I will forgive them. So the Israelites, they have a responsibility to remind God of his 13 attributes of mercy, because God doesn't have only attributes of mercy. He has some others too. So we need to wake up these and not the ones of being judgmental, and not those who are that he will go after the truth and let the sinners pay. We don't want to remind them that. We want to remind them of the mercy part, because God can also go after the other attributes, and that's why He gives us this. God gave us this special key to reach His mercy. Yes, so that is the tradition I want to share about Chodesh Elul. I was supposed to do also the traditions of Rosh Hashanah, so I'll do very, very shortly the tradition of Rosh Hashanah that are not connected to the prayer. The prayer we'll get next week with, I don't remember who will teach next week, it's not me. And here comes a tradition that probably almost so many of you know, right? What are the traditions of Rosh Hashanah? The eating traditions of Rosh Hashanah? Sasha, do you remember?
Sorry.
It's honey and apple.
Yes? Apple and honey, and the other fruit that's...
Other fruits?
Pomegranate.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, pomegranate, exactly. So ganei apple, the pomegranate, and the apple with honey. These are the traditions that most of us know. Now, this again is very, very different. The tradition, the Ashkenazi tradition, is Sfaradi. The Sfaradi has much, much, much more traditions about what they eat, and it comes already from the Talmud. In the Talmud, in Masechet Kritut, we have here a saying from Abaye. Now that you have said that almonds are significant, Siman Amita, you need elements, the signs that show what you that reflect what you say also to what you do. A person should make a habit of eating at the beginning of the year at Rosh Hashana. Now different word that probably most of you don't know. I don't know the word. I know what they are in Hebrew. Gourd, fenugreek, leeks, beets, and dates. So some of the word you know, some of the word may be a bit very specific. But different types of food that you're supposed to eat on Rosh Hashanah. He doesn't explain why. So that's the interesting part. He says you should eat the different special food like these. And now you need to ask why. Now you can see here what's not mentioned. He doesn't say pomegranate, and he doesn't say apple with honey. So it's quite weird. These are the two Ashkenazi known traditions. Yes, Lena?
I've also heard about a head.
We come to that. This is right after in the Shulchan Aruch. We'll read it now.
But just to make sure, so these are all Sephardic, not Ashkenazi.
Exactly. These are Sephardi tradition, not Ashkenazi. But these are traditions that it's not forbidden to take. And many Ashkenazis started to also do much more of what we called simanim, the Rosh Hashanah symbols. So here we read in the Shulchan Aruch, Shulchan Aruch adds explanations to why these foods specifically. Now I didn't check the here. Yes, so I didn't check the translation, so and now I'll have to explain. So it says like that. On Rosh Hashanah, one should eat fenugreek, rubia, leeks, beets, dates, and gourd. So he quotes the Talmud, but he adds, upon eating fenugreek, that the name fenugreek is rubia. That's the word in Aramaic, the name of this vegetable. Then you have to say, may our merits increase. יהי רצון שירבו זכויותינו. So it said you eat rubia, so you say she'irbu. So it's a play with the words. So you eat a vegetable called rubia, and then you say she'irbu, may our merits, our good deeds will be many. So it's a play, it's a word play. Or eating leeks, which is the word for leeks is karti. And then you say, may our enemies be cut off. She'ikartu sonenu. So karti, that's the word of the vegetable, and she'ikartu. So we have here a play of word, selek, beets, she'istalku oivenu. So selek, she'istalku, that they will depart. Or dates, may our enemies be finished. She'itamu, tamar and tamu. So you can see here how every wording goes on that. And now the Rema adds. Here come our Ashkenazi traditions. It is customary also to eat a sweet apple in honey. And say, may you renew for us a good and sweet year. שתחדש עלינו שנה טובה ומתוקה. Every kid in Kaolin school can say that by heart. And you can see this is a very ancient tradition. וכן נוהגים. And then he adds, some also eat pomegranates and say, may our merits increase like the seeds of a pomegranate. And it is also customary to eat fatty meat and all kinds of sweet foods, but that's like just to have a good and sweet, and it should be especially good. So these two traditions, you can see that Ashkenazi only have these two. Why do Ashkenazi have these two and not all the rest? It's
Maybe.
Yes, Julia?
maybe they did not have these fancy foods if they were living
Exactly.
more up north.
Very simple reason. If we now go out to the fields here in Scandinavia, which fruit do we have? Apples. Right? This is the season of the apples. So why do we eat apples? Because this is the season. It's very simple, and all the different special vegetables didn't exist in the area. So those who existed, they used, and those who didn't exist, they didn't use. So that's why there's the difference between Sephardi places and Ashkenazi places. Very, very practical. But now that you import and we have today fruits and vegetables from all over the world all the time, then we can have and we can add, if you want, also to add the Sephardi traditions. Mishnah Berurah also adds here something that is a very known tradition, and the Mishnah Berurah gives an interpretation about the apple in honey. He says the apple is primary and one blesses over it, which exempt the honey. So you say the bracha for the apple and not for the honey. It's important because they're two different brachot. Even you say the bracha even eaten after hamotzi. But what I wanted to add, some have the custom to dip the challah itself in honey. Okay, and this is a tradition that many do. That on Rosh Hashana, instead of dipping the challah in salt, like we do on Shabbat, you dip it in honey for Rosh Hashanah, and the tradition is also continuing doing so until Shmini Atzeret, until the end of Sukkot, to dip in honey and not with salt. So this is a tradition. And Lina, now comes your we eat a ram's head. Saying, now this is go back to Shulchan Aruch and not to Rema, so this is not the Ashkenazi tradition, this is Sephardi. We eat ram's head, saying, may we be at the head and not at the tail, in remembrance of the ram of Isaac. So this is a tradition. Rosh, we should be the leaders and not like the tail, right? We should try to go up as the leaders, and also to remember the ram of Isaac that is connected to Rosh Hashanah, of course. Yes, Lancelot?
Yes, I was just wondering about the head, because can't it be a fish head also?
There's also a tradition of fish head, but the fish head, the connection to fish, there are much more tradition than we wrote here. You'll find if you look for symbols of Rosh Hashanah, you'll find the 10, 15, even more. Like it depends on the tradition. The fish is connected to a different ruling that we definitely need here in Scandinavia, and especially all you young couples, that shenifre v'nirbe kadagim, that we should be as fruitful as fish, that have many fish. Then all you young couples should definitely eat some fish. You can do it also with it doesn't have to be fish head. It can also be gefilte fish, or any other kind of fish, because this is the main. But yes, there are traditions, Saudi tradition, also eating fish head. It doesn't sound so tasty. So, but I know that it's considered delicacy in Vietnam. So, any of you find your inner Vietnamese thing and try to treat the head of a fish as a delicacy, and not like, oh, that's the thing we throw away. So it is possible, but eating the fish connects not only to the be as a head and not as a tail, but also connected to that we should have many children, many, of course. So, and then there are the traditions of something that is tradition not to eat. The tradition not to eat nuts on Rosh Hashanah, and then it's not because of nut allergy, it's because of gematria. And gematria is the art of that the letters have a numeric value. So the numeric value of the word egoz, egoz is Aleph is 1, Gimel is 3, so 4, Vav is 6, so 10, Zayin is 7. So that's 17. And which other word is also 17? The word chet, the word sin. Chet is 8, tet is 9, and aleph is 1. So 9. I forgot with it goes. Yes. Suddenly it doesn't add up for me, but don't ask. It doesn't add. I need to find out how that add up. It goes. That's 17, and chet is 18. I don't know how they I didn't think about it until now. I'll need to come back to you about that. How usually you play with it to make it work. Maybe they remove the word the first aleph in it goes and it only goes, and I don't know. But anyways, it's supposed to be like the same word. So it goes is like sin, so we don't eat it goes to not have more sins. But there's another explanation that maybe makes more sense, that it's the increase phlegm and hinder prayer. So it's like it's stuck in the throat, so it makes it harder to pray properly, which is the heart of Rosh Hashanah, and that is very important. Another tradition that you have in Rosh Hashanah, we'll finish by that one. By the last one, we have, of course, Tashlich, but that you will hear next time. It's customary not to sleep during the day on Rosh Hashanah, and this is considered a proper practice. There's a tradition not to sleep because we talk about Uru Yeshanim. We should all wake up on Rosh Hashanah, and so don't go to sleep in the time of the judgment. But if this helps you pray better, there are many rabbis who used to do sleep. Many stories that they explained that it's much more important to pray properly, and if it helps us to have more meaningful day, then it's fine to sleep. But if it doesn't affect, so it's a good custom not to sleep during the day on Rosh Hashanah. Good. Wow, I spoke a lot. So I hope you learned a few new things and refreshed all things, remembering the whole how it goes together. So let's all have a Shana Tova, and we'll see you around. And remember Slichot from next Sunday.
Shana Tova, Leitah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
טובה, תודה רבה.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.